I saw this and I had to share this with you guys. From The Atlantic, today, happy Halloween. Let's declare a pandemic amnesty. We need to forgive one another for what we did and said when we were in the dark about COVID, from Emily Oster. We got a little picture here. Oh, we didn't know. Now, let me just be clear off the rip. I agree. But there is absolutely no chance that you would see anything like this if the roles were reversed. Anything at all. You would never be able to see, anti-vaxxers were wrong. No, you would never see that. So let's just keep that in mind. In April 2020, with nothing else to do, my family took an enormous number of hikes. We all wore cloth masks that I had made myself. Oh, well, we now know that's bullshit. We had a family hand signal, which the person in front would use if someone was approaching on the trail and we needed to put on our masks. Once, when another child got too close to my then 4-year-old son on a bridge, he yelled at her, "Social distancing!" I bet it was that dramatic too. It probably was. These precautions were totally misguided. You don't say. It's almost like there was an entire demographic of people saying that all along. But I don't know, let's continue. These precautions were totally misguided. In April 2020, no one got the coronavirus from passing someone else hiking. Outdoor transmission was vanishing rare. Our cloth masks made out of old bandanas wouldn't have done anything anyway. But the thing is, we didn't know. Maybe you didn't know, but a lot of us did, and we tried to tell you. But you didn't listen. And now you're asking for forgiveness. Okay, you can get it, but fair enough. I've been reflecting on this lack of knowledge thanks to a class. I'm co-teaching at Brown University on COVID. Oh, now you're teaching a class. Great. All right. We spent several lectures reliving the first year of the pandemic, discussing the many important choices we had to make under conditions of tremendous uncertainty. Some of these choices turned out better than others. To take an example close to my own work, if there's an emerging, if not universal, consensus that schools in the U.S. were closed for too long, the health risks of in-school spread were relatively low, whereas costs to students' well-being and educational progress were high. No one could have seen that coming, right? Nobody was talking about that over the last 2 years, right? Oh, but you're just coming to say that we were right and you treated us horribly the entire time. But now, no, let's have amnesty. Moving on. But in spring and summer 2020, we had only glimmers of information. Reasonable people who cared about children and teachers, advocated on both sides of the reopening debate. Another example, when the vaccines came out, we lacked definitive data on the relative efficacies of the Johnson & Johnson shot versus the mRNA option from Pfizer and Moderna. The mRNA vaccines have won out, but at the time, many people in public health were either neutral or expressed a J&J preference. This misstep wasn't nefarious, it was a result of uncertainty. Was it though? Obviously, some people intended to mislead Dr. Fauci, and made wildly irresponsible claims. Remember when the public health community had to spend a lot of time and resources urging Americans not to inject themselves with bleach? That was bad. Yeah, that was bad. It's bad that people, didn't actually watch the news report. It's bad that the news reports that they did watch said that the president suggested injecting bleach when that never happened. I'd say, yeah, that was bad. Continue on. Misinformation was and remains a huge problem, but most errors were made by people who were working in earnest for the good of society. Given the amount of uncertainty, almost every position was taken on every topic. And on every topic, someone was eventually proved right and someone else was proved wrong. Yeah, we were right and you were wrong. In some instances, the right people were right for the wrong reasons. In other instances, they had a prescient understanding of available information. Does it matter? Does it matter if you're trying to control their life? Does it matter why they're right if they're right? It doesn't sound like you're really admitting you're wrong. You just say, well, you were right, but you didn't actually know you were right. The people who got it right, for whatever reason, may want to gloat. You're goddamn right! For whatever reason? Maybe it's because you turned us into second-class society, second-class citizens for 2 years. Maybe because of the way you changed our entire life. You flipped the world upside down. Maybe that's why. For whatever reason. Continuing. Those who got it wrong, for whatever reason, may feel defensive and retrench into a position that doesn't accord with the facts. Again, for whatever reason, maybe because they were brainwashed by all of this bullshit and acted like it was fact and cut off their family members. But whatever reason. Moving on. All of this gloating and defensiveness continues to gobble up a lot of social energy and drive the culture wars, especially on the internet. Yeah. These discussions are heated, unpleasant, and ultimately unproductive. Yeah, welcome to the internet! In the face of so much uncertainty, getting something right had a hefty element of luck. Okay. And similarly, getting something wrong wasn't a moral failing. It may not have been a moral failing, but it was a civic failing. You failed to do the proper research. You failed to treat people the way they should have been treated. You failed to maintain the sense of community around our country, in our neighborhoods, in our states, and as a country at large. That was the failing. Moving on. Treating pandemic choices as a scorecard on which some people racked up more points than others is preventing us from moving forward. The audacity to talk about what's preventing us from moving forward by keeping score points from the cancel culture crowd. The audacity. Moving on. We have to put these fights aside and declare a pandemic amnesty. We can leave out the willful purveyors of actual misinformation while forgiving the hard calls that people had no choice but to make with imperfect knowledge. Los Angeles County closed its beaches in summer 2020. Ex post facto, this makes no more sense than my family's massed hiking trips. Again, many people said this. This is not new knowledge. It wasn't new knowledge in 2020. That's the point. For whatever reason, that's the reason. Anyway, but we need to learn from our mistakes and then let them go. I'm glad that you're saying that. I hope you do learn from your mistakes. We need to forgive the attacks too. Because I thought schools should reopen and argue that kids as a group were not at high risk. Yeah, you were right about that part. I was called a teacher killer and a genocidaire. It wasn't pleasant, but feelings were high. And I certainly don't need to dissect and rehash that time for the rest of my days. Fair enough. Moving on is crucial now, because the pandemic created many problems we still need to solve. Students' test scores have shown historic declines, more so in math than in reading, and more so for students who were disadvantaged at the start. All things that we told you were going to happen if you not only shut down the country in the first place, but at later times when you said that we needed to remain closed. But we're not gloating. We're not gloating. Okay. We need to collect data, experiment, and invest. Is high dosage tutoring more or less cost effective than extended school years? Fair enough. I'm with you there. Why have some states recovered faster than others? Probably because of their lockdown policies. I don't know. We should focus on questions like these because answering them is how we will help our children recover. Almost done here. Many people have neglected their health care over the past several years. Notably, routine vaccination rates for children for measles and such are way down. Rather than debating the role messaging about COVID vaccines had in this decline, we need to put all our energy into bringing these rates back up. Pediatricians and public health officials need to work together on community outreach, and politicians need to consider school mandates. So basically, this part is just saying, well, okay, we were definitely wrong, and we definitely have made people not want to get any kind of vaccine because of the COVID vaccine. But let's not talk about that. Let's just move on. The standard saying is that those who forget history are doomed to repeat. Yeah, but let's just forget about the last 2 years. The whole point of this is let's forget about the last 2 years. And then the opening line to the final paragraph is the standard saying is those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Make it make sense. All right, last thing here. Let's finish up. But dwelling on the mistakes of history can lead to a repetitive doom loop as well. Cope. Let's acknowledge that we made complicated choices in the face of deep uncertainty and then try to work together to build back and move forward. Now, again, like I said, I do agree that it is not useful to continue just gloating or conversely being defensive and trying to be like, well, we didn't know and da-da-da. I do agree that we just need to move on. But those who were attacking other people, those who are attacking their neighbors, are not the ones in the position to say, we need to forgive and forget and move on. That is not for you to decide. But I do agree. Let's move on. Hope to see you guys at the live show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. IndianJesus out!